So in this project, we were asked to come up with a strategy and a response to help people move and find their way through a really challenging urban environment. The particular environment that we were working in, there are lots of levels, lots of staircases, lots of small spaces opening up into large spaces. There's multiple entry points. There's no clear line of sight anywhere. It was a very, as they call it, illegible space. So really our job was to make that space visible and clear and help people make their way through it. For this particular project, we started off doing what we call a public space study. We really needed to understand who was moving through the space, what their needs were, where they were coming from, where they were going, where they were getting lost. We really need to map out all the challenges. We also need to look at what the existing wayfinding signage was like. Did we need to get rid of it all? Could we just add elements into it? So we had to undergo quite a lengthy process of observation and analysis of all those issues. Once we determined what those issues were, we were able to create a strategy to respond to it. We were able to create a strategy which said, these are the things that you need to address. These are the places that we need to intervene at. And then from there, we were able to actually move on to work out what the messaging was. So what should we say on the signs? Where should we say it? The design process really involved prototyping. We came up with some initial ideas as to what the signs might look like. We were testing those prototypes at scale, on location. We were making sure that the messaging that we came up with was correct. So there was a lot of testing involved in this particular project. That was not only because the space was so challenging to work with, but because we wanted to make sure that we got the response right for people when they moved through it. In our whole process, we were creating a document that really reflected the detail of what we were doing and that the client could use in years ahead if they ever wanted to change their wayfinding approach. We were looking at things like sight lines, heights, distances. We were looking at the needs of users in the space that might not be able-bodied. We were looking at accessibility issues, compliance issues, certification issues. We were working with certifiers, we were working with architects, we were working in a really multidisciplinary way with a whole bunch of different people in order to deliver this project. We eventually came up with a number of designs for these signs. The signs were fabricated locally, created here, and installed on site. Since then, we've noticed a massive improvement in people's navigation of the site. We've noticed a massive improvement in people's accessibility for the site, for those of us who aren't able-bodied. And we've also seen improvements not only in the leasing, but also in the community's re-engagement of the space. So we created a series of fairly unique wayfinding signs for this precinct. These signs were able to be wrapped around some of the existing structures there, so we weren't creating any more visual clutter in the place. These signs are able to be accessed from any direction and will have specific information for people based on their movements from that direction at that place. We were also able to create outcomes which were compliant with Australian standards for access and mobility. And ultimately, we were able to create a better way for people to engage with this place, move through it, and create a better user experience.